Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast is Conditional Acceptance Might Be the Cause of Your Stress. Many of us know that we become stressed in our lives because we want things to be different than they are. And so what many of us do is we try to accept the situation in front of us because we know when we accept things, we're no longer in conflict with them. But what I have found recently is that a lot of people try to use this idea of conditional acceptance. And what I mean by this is that we are willing to accept things in our lives under certain conditions. And many of us don't realize that when we do this, it is a band-aid on our stress and our anxiety, because what we're doing is we're saying we will be okay as long as this moment and the future work out a certain way. So it might work in the moment, but somewhere down the line, any condition that we put on life, any condition that we put on our joy, on our happiness, on our healing, we leave ourselves vulnerable to the pain of what we didn't like, to the pain of what makes us uncomfortable. We leave ourselves vulnerable to not truly fulfilling our life's path or creating the life that we truly desire. And a good example of this is I was speaking to a friend the other day, and her husband left her, and she's been doing a lot of wonderful work on herself. She's out there in the world, and she's working, and she's dating. But then she said to me, I know my ex-husband will never find anyone as wonderful as me. And she said it in a way that it made her feel more powerful. And it's not the first time I've heard things like this. I've witnessed people getting fired, and the person who got fired will say, they'll never find anyone as good as me. That company won't work out. But what we don't see is this is conditional acceptance. We will accept this as long as the choice that the other person made will never be better than us, or that situation will never work out if we're not involved. And today I am actually the perfect example, because I just heard that my ex-husband is getting married in late October. And I've heard people say to me, oh, he doesn't know what he's missing. He left the best thing that ever happened to him. But if I would have based my healing and my value and my moving forward on the fact that he'll be miserable the rest of his life, that he'll regret it the rest of his life, where would I be in this moment? I would be right back to where I started from if I needed him to be miserable for me to be okay. Because I refuse to engage in conditional acceptance. That is the reason that I'm okay today. And so going back to my friend, I said that to her. I said, you're in a really tricky place. I said, yes, I think you're the greatest person in the world and anybody would be crazy to leave you. But if you're basing your healing or your happiness on that fact, at some point in the future, you might be really surprised. And the only way out of this loop is to not put conditions on your acceptance. And the reason why we put conditions is because sometimes it is so painful to accept the moment the way it is. It's no joke. It is one hard thing to do. But we don't realize that we can either take it in this moment, process it in the moment, feel that cracking of our heart in the moment and that vulnerability, and find a way back, or live with that pain our entire life. Sometimes it's a sharp pain and sometimes it's a dull pain, but either way, it's a resistance to what is. And any time we resist what is, our energy is going in the other direction. When that energy belongs with you, that power belongs with you. We always think we know what's best for us, but we do not. And that's why we only conditionally accept it, because we're afraid that if we really allow it to be, we might not be able to have the life that we want. But life is already going in another direction, and you are more likely to find your way if you truly accept what is happening and you become present and put your energy where life is moving you. And believe me, I understand this. I remember the day when I found out my ex-husband had a girlfriend. We had just separated. I remember the day they moved in together. I remember the day they moved to another state. And I remember the day I found out that she was so much younger than me. I remember all those days. But each time, I didn't permit myself to say, he's losing and I'm winning. I didn't allow myself to say he will regret this. I didn't allow myself to find comfort in his misery for my happiness. And did it make me almost skip a breath in my heart? Yes. I felt like I couldn't breathe. But each time I went deeper, each time I went back to my value and my heart and my dreams and my love. And so today I stand tall, not because I am braver than any of you, not because I am stronger than any of you. The only reason is I did not permit conditional acceptance. I did not permit myself to be okay based on his okayness. I didn't permit myself to be okay or not okay because of an outside circumstance. And that is where the work is. And my friend looked at me at that meal and she understood what I was saying. She understood that she accepted a lot, but she needed to go back and truly accept the situation and find her way and find her path and find her strength. And again, when things first happen, sometimes we need to hold on to these things. And I'm sure in the beginning, my thought process was like that. But as time went on, it was my full acceptance and my letting go that enabled me to move forward. And you can do this too. You don't need the partner. You don't need the job. You don't need to make the team to be okay. You are okay already. You are okay when you decide to be okay. Now, you might want these things. We all want things. We all have desires. That's the juicy part of life. I am filled with dreams and intentions. And I'm always filled with hope for a better tomorrow, hope for the next moment. But it's our attachment for things needing to be a certain way for us to be okay that sinks us, that gives the power to the outer world, that gives the power to the other person. And the only way we're going to alleviate this stress and the anxiety and stop begging the future to make us feel sturdy and stable is to go back to ourselves. I am okay when I decide to be okay. We have to know that we have everything that we need in the moment to be in this moment. We have to trust that life will present us things that we could handle. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're already handling it. Don't judge the messiness. Don't judge the tears. Don't judge the things that didn't work out. It's all part of your path. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would feel nothing to know that he's getting remarried, I would have never believed you because I thought I needed my marriage to be okay. But at the end of the day, we need ourselves to be okay. We need to live from our hearts to be okay. We need to be authentic with who we are to be okay. We need to choose love and kindness first to be okay. And we need to accept the moment, no matter how hard it is, to begin our journey. And again, I understand how hard those moments can be, but I promise you, the pain in the beginning will pay off in the end. So no matter what is happening today, do your best to try not to put conditions on the moment and what's happening. All acceptance is looking at the moment and saying, this is what is, and opening up your heart to feel it, to process it, to love yourself, to know that you're okay, and to hold the hope that you will heal, to hold the hope that life will keep changing, and to hold the hope that maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.